Hi, Assalamualaikum and greetings to all panels. My name is YASMIN SYAHMINA binti ROHAN and I am the second presenter of my workplace. So I'll be presenting on the food court design, which is named Satu Indahpura Community Food Court. So this is the killer perspective. In the killer perspective, it captures the focal point of the building and it is framing the view from the outdoor landscape. So first of all, this is the key plan, and this is the location plan. And so about the site, it is located in Bandar Indahpura Kulai, Johor. This is the proposed site in location plan. It is still a newly developed area with many facilities, and the site is surrounded between industrial area, which is this part, a commercial area on top of it, and residential area. And it gives a lot of potential for a food court to be created in the vicinity. So for the site issue, firstly there is no proper pedestrian access around site, leading people to create unintended and unsafe route from the site to the commercial area. And the second one is the views around site are not interesting, being in industrial area which is surrounded with factories and workers' dormitory. And third is the lack of strong landmarks around Bandar Indahpura that creates problem to navigate people into site area. And lastly is the no significant architecture value within the vicinity that represents culture of the people. So the design concept is connectivity. It becomes the concept to Satu Indahpura Community Food Court, uniting users from different areas with one similar intention, which is to eat and connect in one place. So this way the bond between community can be strengthened while user can enjoy their food. As for the community demands, which is from the Google form survey we did, first of all, they wanted better pedestrian access or facility. Secondly, more eateries to be made in the area. Third, more public area in the park. And number four, they prefer an open, laid-back lepak place. So for the tenant, I propose for hotspot or famous eateries in Kulai to be under one roof, such as Nasi Lemak Wak Kentut, Kulai Pizza, Lapan Kati, Joe Western, and their cabin bistro. So on to the next part is the site analysis and synthesis. And the first aspect is on the environment. The first one is that the site receives highest velocity of prevailing winds from south and west direction. And the west part of site received the highest glare of evening sun. So the strategy is to make the entrance directed towards the south to capture high velocity winds and more openings to be made to allow natural ventilation. And also overhangs and sun shading system, which is dashed in yellow here, are proposed to counter the high glare of evening sun, allowing diffused and indirect natural lighting into building. So next one is the circulation. So the existing reserve road actually stops halfway at the bushy and overgrown trees area, and workers from the dormitory, which is in front of here, they used it as an unintended path to the shop lot or commercial area, which is very dangerous. And then, so the strategy is to propose a thoroughfare, a proper thoroughfare for the pedestrian and bicycle user to have safer and convenient journey to the site area. And this makes it more welcoming and inviting for people coming in from commercial area to this site, which is located in the industrial area. The last aspect is views. So these are the viewpoints from the site, and the views are, as I mentioned, are not desirable because being in industrial area, you have views of empty lands, worker dormitories, factories, heavy vehicles, and overgrown unorganized greeneries. So the strategy is to switch the focus of view inwards, appreciating the building and spaces in the building to overcome the undesirable views. So next is the precedent studies. I have 3 precedent studies. The first one is Bangunan Suruhanjaya Tenaga Putrajaya. And the aspect I studied was the sustainable design strategy, which is on their facade, and also the water reduction. Secondly is the pavilion by ACME Architects in London, and the aspect studied here is the overall timber construction and building materials, which is glue laminated timber fin facade. And lastly is Mega Foodwalk Landscape in Thailand, and the aspect I studied here was the indoor landscaping and the interaction of user with the spaces. So next is the site plan. Firstly, we'll talk about the roof. So actually the roof have a few layers. Firstly is the drop off roof, which is the highest, and then secondly is this part, the left part, and the lowest part is on the right. And the roof also have a skylight and also a flat roof for water tank to be placed. As for the circulation, the public can enter from here and under the drop off roof, and then they can choose whether to go left or right to meet the public parking area. As for the services entrance, there will be a separated lane because of the food waste that will be brought out from the refuse chamber. So, we wanted to prevent the odor or water leakage from entering the public spaces. So, as for the pedestrian circulation, based on the site analysis, a proper thoroughfare was proposed at the existing road reserve. So this is the pedestrian boulevard together with bicycle lane connected from the existing road reserve to the commercial area in front of Aeon. So no car is accessible to this because there will be a fold down bollard here. However, bomber can use this occasionally if there is emergency, and the material is also a heavy duty paving. So this pedestrian circulation brings users to the outdoor landscape, to the community plaza, and into the building. So this part of landscape community plaza is actually a view treatment or view buffer from the industrial area, the undesirable views I mentioned, and also for community to utilize for activities. So next will be the ground floor plan, and this is the main entrance of the building. This is the foyer. It faces south, and when you enter from the foyer, you will be greeted with a feature staircase and central courtyard. And on the left will be the main program, which is the food court. And the main eating place has a view of the community plaza and also the central courtyard. The organic floor pattern was repeated from the shape that was introduced in the landscape design. And the spaces in the building is actually separated into three main parts, which is the main is E3. This is the services, and also this is a supporting program, which is convenience store. And all these are connected by corridors to the central courtyard, and that was designed for users to interact. This is where the interaction happens, symbol of connectivity. So on to the next part is the section AA. From the section AA, you can actually see the main program, which is eating area. The one below in ground floor plan is the food court, and the one above is the restaurant corridor, the anchor restaurant. And on the right side is the supporting program, which is convenience store and also community open deck. And as you can see that the levelings are different in height. They are different by 0.7 meters, and these different levels are inspired from Malay traditional house. The levelings shows hierarchy of spaces, and of course the E3 are much more important than other programs in the building. And also the ceiling height, as you can see from the sections, are also high to create spacious effect and better ventilation. 4 meter. So next is the section BB. And for the section BB, it captures the eatery again and also the toilet. And in this section, you can see more on the timber material, and the flooring materials are different in both floors. On the first floor, the timber floor system is used, and as for the ground floor, is using RC slab. So on to the next one is the first floor plan. So in the first floor plan, you can access the first floor plan using the feature staircase or another staircase at the services block. And there's also a lift for OKU. And again, the left part is the main eating area occupied by the anchor tenant or restaurant. And then it will be linked with a linkage to the open deck community activities. As for the socio-cultural influence, like a traditional Chinese courtyard plan, all spaces connect to the central atrium room, providing clear orientation and spatial cohesion. And the building's south-facing entrance, a softened triangular shape, and gentle interior circulation reference feng shui design principles and resonate with the values held by the community. And this is the massing development. Firstly, this is the first step, which is a solid rectangular block erected from setback. The blocks are divided to 3 parts to differentiate building programs, eatery, shop, and services. And secondly, the blocks are oriented such a way to create a centralized form that captures the view inwards, and also the different height shows hierarchy of spaces program. And next is the blocks are refined, creating focal point with corridor for pedestrian movement in building and adding connection to the central atrium. The form is further extruded to create self-shaded facade with 30 degrees tilt. And lastly, the louvers facade was added to counter high glare and visibility towards undesirable view outside, and the drop-off with split roofing to create grandeur effect. So next is the front elevation. So from the front elevation, you can see the timber louver facade, and it also repeats the curve elements, and also the density at the focal point, the density of the louvers are much more lower for the visibility of people to see the spaces inside, and the people can also see the community plaza, and also the vertical elements of the building overall and the big openings. And as for the left elevation, similar elements can be seen in this elevation. And this part is from the where the pedestrian access is. And this is the services part. And this perforated wall is actually the service corridor. So on to the next board. For the perspective, so firstly, this is the food court eating area. These are the core area of the buildings, and these places have the view of the community plaza, like I mentioned, through the large glazed openings and the central garden inside. And secondly is a perspective of the cabin, the anchor tenant in first floor. Okay, they have a semi-open dining, a very calm ambience, and also a perspective of the central garden, a seamless connection of landscape and architecture that act as soft and interaction space for user in the building. And then next is the community plaza. It acts as a community gathering space to do activities and a view treatment for the food court from the industrial area. And lastly is the convenience store, which is a supporting program to sustain the building with transparent view of the central garden. And next is the sustainable strategies. So firstly is on the facade, which is 30 degrees tilt facade that only allows reflected light as the natural lighting of the building. And secondly is on the skylight that allow more natural lighting into building during the day, thus saving energy. And thirdly is on the high volumes and big openings to allow better ventilation to happen through the building. And lastly is the irrigation system for the central courtyard, which is watered from rainwater harvesting system collected from the roof gutter. And this is the strip section, which is cut from the section BB. And the details that I blowed up was on the louver facade connection and the column to foundation connection, and also column to column connection. And that is all for my presentation today. Thank you so much for your time.